Welcome to the Haven Exchange podcast number 15 with almost 300 downloads. And with that, a huge thank you. I am one of your hosts, Genesis, bringing you a brand new episode. And as always, we have a brand new topic for you. On this episode, the fellas and myself discuss the phenomenon of cancel culture. Is this just mob intimidation or an important tool of social justice? Keep on listening as we have a deep discussion on the matter to learn more about how to answer those questions. But first, if you would like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/Haven Exchange and become a member to unlock all sorts of goodies, just like our amazing gold and silver tier supporters, Tashamonetsims and Nerder She Wrote. Don't you want to be cool just like them? Also, be sure to check out last week's episode, and in case you missed it, here's a little snippet.
No.
Now, if you get metal teeth, no toothaches.
Now, if I get metal teeth, everybody's getting bit.
He's just going around. Here comes the biter.
Yeah.
What's he?
What was
The
his
Chicago
name?
biter is at it again.
RC. What was his name from 007? Odd Job or
Oh, yeah.
Jar? Was his name Jar?
It
That doesn't sound right.
doesn't sound right, but I think it was more along those lines. Man, fuck,
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but I would just go around biting motherfuckers. like, oh, hello, Mr. Wood. Ah, fuck you.
Check out the Haven Exchange podcast each and every Wednesday for brand new episodes featuring a new topic, everything from video games and pop culture to aliens and conspiracy theories, as well as the meaning of life, all for your listening pleasures. Hope you enjoy the show. Thank you so much for giving a listen. Let's get to it.
This is the Haven Exchange.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Haven Exchange, a podcast where each and every week we bring you a brand new topic for us to discuss.
What
review,
is going on,
give the hot
fellas?
takes,
What is
spread
up?
some knowledge, possibly. My name is Genesis, one of the hosts here. With me, I have my fellas, as always, Rick. What's up, man?
You are.
Alongside him, I didn't even give you a goofy name this time. I'm a little ashamed of myself. We should probably take that back.
I mean, you should be.
What was that penguin in Mario? Was that King Dedede?
Yeah,
that-
King DDD. Well, wait, but that was Kirby.
Oh, Kirby?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're King Dedede. Oh, who else we got with us? We got my man's Big RC. What's up, dude?
Yes, what's going on, everybody? Good evening or afternoon, morning, whenever you are listening to this.
Is this the Truman Show?
It must be.
If I don't see you, how does he say that? Good afternoon, good evening. If I don't see you, oh fuck, I can't remember the line now. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, but so many movie lines to remember these days.
Oh, that's just an excuse for not knowing what I'm trying to say right now.
Hey, but you don't know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that's true. And we all know Rick ain't know that shit. Truman Show, what's that?
I actually saw the Truman Show. You sack of shit. Now, can I quote anything from it? No. Do I remember? I remember the story for the most part. But
Are you sure?
yeah, it was Jim Carrey. He was like a part of a show, not a show. Damn it! No, wait. Cut all this out.
I swear, I thought he was about to say, he played God. Like, nope.
No, that's funny.
Was he a pet detective in that one? I think.
I think
I
so.
should have said that. I should have said that just to throw you all off, but you'll think I'm telling the truth. So no, no, I remember it. Wasn't like his life or something. Like everything around him was a part of. Fuck, dude. I'm
loving every second of
Yes.
this. I'm
I'm
loving
very
every
excited.
second of this.
Same.
because I can vaguely remember him he was going up like some steps or something like that, and like the cloud. There was like a door in a cloud or something like that, right? Like in a wall.
Yeah.
It's like
that was an image in that shot.
Yep.
Yeah, I do.
And
I do
Morgan Freeman was
remember.
up there waiting for him, right? Mm-hmm.
Right. Wait, who was waiting for him?
Morgan Freeman. Uh-huh.
No, that's funny. That's funny. You already tried that joke. It didn't work. So
my bad. You're right.
This guy is right. No, yeah, I saw it once. Like,
you're aware of it.
Yeah,
I get it.
I saw it once, like 15 years ago. So
it's every day. It's something new that makes me question our friendship.
It's gonna get worse too. Just so you're aware. Get worse.
Every year, there's new content that comes out that he will not see and be able to reference.
Yeah, someone asked me something the other day, and my 4-year-old daughter was like, "Yeah, I've seen." The Thing. Violet saw The Thing like last week, and I still haven't seen it.
The 80s version?
Yeah.
How old is Violet?
4.
So your 4-year-old daughter seen a gruesome 80s classic movie before your ass seen that movie?
Yeah, her grandfather. When everyone was snowed in, the girls were with their grandfather for those 2 days, and yeah, they just sat around and watched like The Blob, which I've never seen. I don't even know what the fuck that is. To be honest with you, they saw The Thing. They saw Slither, which I vaguely remember it, but
I don't. Yeah,
your little girl was watching this though.
No, actually, no. I didn't see Slither. I saw it was Splice. Splice is the one.
Oh, Splice.
Yeah, I saw Splice, but she saw Slither, which I did not see.
Okay.
I don't know if I've seen that one, but I feel like that's the one with the vagina teeth.
No,
that was Splice.
No,
right?
The vagina teeth. No, that's teeth.
Oh, that's just teeth. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Man, don't bring up that movie again, man.
Yeah, that's quite the image, too. I don't know if I want to have that on my spirit tonight.
I feel like you need to take have a sleep over at your grandfather's house or wait, that would be your dad?
Oh, no,
their grandfather.
That was their grandfather.
Oh, okay. So your father-in-law or whatever. You need to do a sleepover and learn these movies. Not your kids.
Oh, for sure.
They got their whole life to get these movies under their belt. You've had your whole life to get these movies under your belt.
Now, to be fair, he's also a huge horror movie buff. So, when they're sitting over there,
it's perfect for you. You go over there, you spend a Saturday evening, get caught up on some movies so we don't have to roast you all the time.
I think we're going over there tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, and I'll put that up. I'll put that out there. I'll say, hey, let's watch a ton of movies. My asshole friends have been, they've been hitting on me for years about this. So only this shot, although it'll never be enough because it
won't be enough because you've had your whole life to miss out on all these movies.
There's always going to be a movie where I'm just like,
no, you made a bold choice.
Remember when we roasted it? He didn't know what the "It's a Trap" was.
No, I knew what that was. No, don't do that. I know. No, I know It's a Trap. I know what that is. Now, okay. In my defense, this isn't my defense. I'm aware of It's a Trap, and I know it's from Star Wars, but I can't recall which one. I know it's from one of the original, from 4, 5, or 6. I know it's from one of those. I just don't remember. I saw those 3 movies once, like 20 years ago. I just don't remember them like that.
Maybe you should, give your 848th playthrough of Witcher a rest and watch a couple movies.
No, I'm actually in the middle of kind of downsizing my backlog. So I've just been playing a lot of games that I've been behind on. Like I'm trying to finish Control right now.
Okay.
And then next, I think I'm going to go to Final Fantasy 15 and just kind of, clean up the game.
I'm proud of you. I think you said 2020 you completed 4 games.
No, you jerk. 2021, I've so far have beaten 4 games this year.
Oh, even better. I mean, that's That's 400% increase from 2020 then.
That's not true. That's not true. Because last year I beat quite a few. Like I beat Doom Eternal, one of the hardest games of the year. I beat that. I beat
Sekiro came out last year, didn't it?
No, Sekiro was 2019.
Oh, okay.
There was like a Game of the Year edition last year or something like that. But 2019 was Sekiro.
Gotcha.
I beat Resident Evil 3. I beat a decent amount of games. Fuck y'all.
Okay, you're trending then. You're trending to beat 2020.
I'm getting better. I am trying to get better.
Yeah, you got your capture card now, so you're able to that'll incentivize you to play some of the old games.
Oh, I know.
He's going to beat Mario Brothers for the first time.
I'm going to be Super Mario 3D World. I know Kurt is listening to this right now, losing his mind. Like, this bitch will not be. Still haven't beaten The Last of Us Part 2. Oh, and he has been getting on me for months about beating that. I mean, now that I have a PS5, you know, I think I'm almost.
It's done. You're not going to go back to it.
From what I've seen, I'm definitely more than halfway done with it. Like from what I've seen, I probably got like 3 or 4 hours left.
Mm-hmm.
But the game just it fucks with my anxiety so much with like random shit jumping out at you, and it's just like the story is really, you know, stabbing you in the heart every 10 minutes. It's too much, man. It's almost a little uncomfortable.
Well, that's what makes good content, you know, the stuff that can really create an emotional reaction from you as you're playing through it.
Yeah, it's a good hurt kind of thing. You know, like I enjoyed it, but it's also one of those games where I have to be in the mood to play it too. Like I can't just like Hitman 3. I was able to pick up and just go silly with, but Last of Us Part 2. I gotta be in the right mindset for that.
Yeah. For sure. What you been on these days, RC?
Man, besides keeping my head low and working, trying to finish up some of these exclusives on the PS4. And today I actually started playing Resident Evil Revelations on the Xbox.
Ooh.
For the first time.
Really?
Yeah, for first time. Like, I started Revelations 2, but only finished the first episode, but never beat it after that because I wanted to play the first one, which I'm doing now. So
yeah, I have those installed. I've been meaning to give those a shot. I never played them either.
Yeah, so far I'm enjoying it, but correct me if I'm wrong, Derek. That is a port from PSP, right?
No, Revelations was from the 3DS.
Oh, okay.
The 3DS?
Yeah, it was the 3DS. Yep. I think it was around the launch of the 3DS too, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Revelations 1 was. I think Revelations 2 was the only one. I think that one went straight to.
I think consoles. Yeah. I think consoles only. I believe.
It's all on Vita, I believe. But
okay.
I don't think it was on the 3DS. You said what's the Vita?
No, I just laughed at the Vita.
Dude, first of all, the Vita is one of the greatest handhelds ever made.
Get the fuck out of here.
It was so good.
That shit.
When in my early day or toward the end days of my GameStop career, I fought tooth and nail with my coworker who was a diehard Nintendo fan. Right. We fought every day, and we went to the wall, and I said, just pick me out 10 great 3DS games that don't include Mario, Zelda, or fucking Pokemon.
Is there even 10 games for the Vita?
There's more than 10 games. Uncharted, Golden Abyss. Dude, that game was Killzone Mercenary.
Sucking that sweet Sony sausage over there.
You're not wrong, okay? You're not wrong. But the Vita, I love my Vita. Fuck y'all.
I mean, it's a slick piece of hardware. Like, it looks sexy. So I definitely always wanted it just because it looked really good, but there was nothing really on it that sold me.
Yeah, and Sony kind of fucked up with the marketing on it. They really did not promote that system well at all. Like I think like the first 2 or 3 years, or maybe even the first 2 years, they were kind of like all systems, go. But after that, they were like, hey, this is even. As a matter of fact, when the PS4 came out, when you plugged the PS Vita into the PS4 didn't recognize it. It was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I remember seeing it like, Sony, are you kidding me, man? Now, it does support remote play, where you can play all PS4 games through the Vita. But when you physically plug it into the PS4, it didn't recognize it at first.
I feel like now is the time for something like that to come out, where remote play is becoming a thing with the Switch and Xbox now.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, the xCloud. I heard the xCloud is pretty dope.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Definitely get that shot.
Anyways, we got a topic to talk about tonight.
Oh
why
yeah.
why you giggle like that?
Because we just been talking for so long, and I almost forgot what the topic was. Just that quick.
What are we talking about, Rick?
Well, today's topic is going to be about cancel culture, with some of the biggest news right now being around Gina Carano being canceled, quote unquote, canceled from The Mandalorian. I thought it would be a good time to kind of discuss, is cancel culture real? Is it something conservatives made up, or is it like something that we really should be worried about?
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting phenomenon that's pretty prevalent these days, and something that's, I don't know, this is pretty recent to see this, in the limelight, I guess, for lack of a better word. I mean, the past 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, I feel like it's pretty, I don't know, sudden.
Yeah, it really kicked in. Like, I think culturally, we kind of shifted as a country, and things just aren't okay. Things that were okay 10 years ago, are career ruining now.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't make certain jokes. You can't say certain things. And then I think the worst part about cancel culture is if you say something, if someone misinterprets your intent, then they're in the right and you're in the wrong. So if you say something, it goes back to Gina Carano. They attacked her for being transphobic, but the actual reason for why she put the beep beep boop or whatever in her pronoun, in her Twitter handle, wasn't to attack trans people. It was to attack the people who were forcing her to put her pronouns in her profile. But people interpreted that as, oh, you're making fun of trans.
Right.
Well, I could see how it's construed that way, though.
I mean, I could definitely see that. She
knew what she was doing. She's able to defend it because it has a defense.
Right.
But she knew what she was doing.
See, I don't. The only reason why I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because I think that there are people, like, I think she really thought she was taking it to the people who were yelling the loudest about it. Mm-hmm. Because, one of the things about cancel culture is almost 9 times out of 10, even with the protests and the riots, I think 9 times out of 10, the people who are the loudest are the people who have nothing to do with the offended group.
Right.
Like, you see all these Black Lives Matter protests, and when you see people bashing shit and stealing and stuff like that, it's not Black people. I mean, there are some. I don't mean to make it sound like there aren't any.
Right.
But a majority of them are of a different race, and they're trying to stick up for the affected group, which can be admirable. It can be admirable, but they're in a lot of ways making things worse. And I think that's what. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, back to Gina, like, I think that she was really trying to stick it to the people who were trying to force her to do that, and saying, oh, you're against these people, you're against these people if you don't do
if you don't add your pronouns to your profile, that means you're against, not for.
Right.
And so she was basically like, I'm not going to let mob mentality force me into anything.
Right.
Whether she wanted to do it or not. She ended up adding beep, beep, boop, boop with an R2D2 gif.
Right. Which, that was the other thing too. I could not believe how when that happened and people were, I think the hashtag fire Gina Carano was trending when she did that. And it bothered me to no end that nobody thought, hey, maybe she's doing that because she's on a TV show where there's an actual character who does that exact noise. Yeah. No one thought to equate that to R2D2. No one thought to be like, oh, maybe. I mean, and if I'm not mistaken, she did it around the time R2D2 made an appearance on the show. So it was like I think the timing maybe could have been off.
She was, I mean, the fact that she was at a battle with people on Twitter.
Yeah.
And she lost that battle. Now the question is that I'm more interested in is is it important that she loses, or is the punishment she loses work and has her name out there in a negative light due to that? And I mean, she wasn't canceled after that. So to be clear, that didn't end her career on The Mandalorian. She came out with more and more stuff that was controversial or offensive to some people. And so she was building up a resume of things that people on Twitter did not care for. So
I appreciate none whatsoever.
Right. Well, like I get what you, because I think that's that's my biggest issue with the whole idea of cancel culture is I do not agree with the idea that someone should lose their right to employment or to feed themselves or their family based on their beliefs. I don't like the idea that she's able to say something and then she just is out of a job. Mm-hmm. Like she never called for anyone to be harmed. She never said anyone should be in any way hurt. She just disagreed with a few things regarding masks and with being forced into doing something. I don't think it's anything worthy of being fired for. But then at the same time, I'm also a person who doesn't put a celebrity on a pedestal. You're a normal fucking human being as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's where I think I struggle with it a little bit too. And the other side of it is that I want to talk about with cancel culture. It's often used in sort of a negative connotation, battles against free speech, and it promotes censorship and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And even right now, we go directly into, should this person lose their job? But I also want to shine a little light on some of the good that it does, because it does. I mean, there's people that have done nasty things,
right.
Sexual predators and people of high statures that were able to get away with stuff because of their status. Bill Cosby,
Harvey Weinstein,
Jeffrey Epstein,
yes.
Right.
The big hashtag Me Too movement that essentially was cancel culture in a sense, or as a collective of people being able to share their voices and their stories. In order to gain power towards these seemingly untouchable elites. And I think that side of it is a beautiful thing, that it shows that people can have power in some way in order to create action out of something. I mean, they said the Epstein case, like that dude, everybody's known for millions of years that dude is a sex trafficker and is doing lots of bad things. But it wasn't until people really got together through the Me Too movement that gave power to attorneys and the justice system to really crack down on this asshole. Mm-hmm. So if we didn't have anything where people could collectively come together to bring their voices to one place, I mean, that guy could have been going on. I mean, what's his status right now? Is he dead or locked up or on his island still? Epstein.
How are you not aware of this?
Man,
this was.
Hey, tell you the truth, I'm not worried.
You've never seen any of the memes about Epstein? I know Chuck is just pulling his hair out right now. Like, you've never seen.
I started watching the doc on Netflix, but it was rough.
So, to the federal agents listening, I have no knowledge of Epstein, but Epstein killed himself.
I thought he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he killed himself. I'm using the word killed with very heavy quotations.
What do you think? He's still alive?
No, I don't think he killed himself. I think that dude was murdered.
Oh, you think he was murdered? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. The cameras happened to not work the day he was killed. And then a dude who was just on suicide watch was taken off suicide watch like a week later or something, like 2 weeks later. Dude, no, what the fuck? But anyway, I think...
Now with that also comes instances where people can then use that for evil, essentially, and calling somebody out where something may have never happened, or blow things out of proportion, or take things out of context. Essentially, it's a justice system without any governing laws or any sort of sense of organization, in a way that basically anybody could say, hey, we're going to go cancel this person, whether there's evidence or not. And I think that's where there is a problem. Because we see it can be used for good, getting a lot of these nasty people, and even changing the culture in itself. When we've seen things like The Simpsons, and in the sense of canceling Apu, or more so changing out a white actor doing an Indian character's voice, right? So it's shifting the culture. Something, I mean, we lived with Apu for most of our lives,
decades.
Yeah. and that stuff, I mean, culturally it changes to where should a white voice actor be doing another race or cultures like voices? Like, is that appropriate these days? And so we see cancel culture shift the culture in ways like that, to things that as a culture we're not accepting, really.
Well, so first, I think the most important thing is I want to make it clear that the Me Too movement and cancel culture, in my opinion, are two separate issues. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because the Me Too movement, I 100% agree with. Assholes who are taking advantage of women or men, whoever's been victimized with sexual, whatever the case may be. If you're using your power to, take advantage of people who are beneath you, status wise or whatever, you should not be in that position, right? But cancel culture is a little different. And the reason why I say it's a little different is because cancel culture is usually someone who just said the wrong thing, in the sense.
There may be different targets, but the tool set is the same.
Right. I mean, yeah, you could say the tool set. Yeah, it's that person should not have their power. Like, one of the biggest, I want to be careful with how I say this, but Aziz Ansari is one that, they threw him into the Me Too movement. And I don't know if I want to necessarily. Essentially what happened was the young lady who accused him of impropriety was basically saying she felt taken advantage of because of how big of a celebrity he was. When you actually read her story, a lot of people felt differently. Like, no, it just, I saw a few other celebrities say, well, it just sounds like you had a bad date. He didn't really force you to do anything. But on the flip side, she felt obligated because of how big of a celebrity he is. Right. I mean, you can make the argument that he's not that big of a celebrity, but he's still big enough to be like, hey, I'm Aziz Ansari. I can, you should bow at the idea of sucking me off. You know what I mean? Like, you should feel, satisfied, or you should be excited to do this. And that was what her post came out about, that she felt like she was kind of obligated to do it because of who he was. That stuff, it's a sticky situation because, I mean, does that mean he should lose his job? Does that mean he should not be allowed to make a living? I think my biggest problem with cancel culture is, where does it stop? Like, where does it end? Like, yeah. With Gina Carano, people are like, she did this, she lost her job, and then what? And then the next thing she does, are you going to then protest that too? Or are you going to, like, what is the end goal here? Are you trying to convince her to think a different way? And I hate to break it to anybody who doesn't know this, but that sounds a lot like fascism, when you're forcing someone to believe something that you want them to believe. That's like,
yeah, I mean, there's one thing of just being blatantly ignorant and then willing to open your mind to learn and stuff, but yeah, a lot of times, we know this from dealing with people human to human. Like, you screaming and forcing something to somebody is not generally the path to enlightenment and getting your ideas across to somebody else.
Right. And I don't mean to make it sound like everything that I'm saying is just my opinion on it. So I don't, people listening to this in the Discord, don't start yelling at me or whatever if I'm saying something that you don't agree with. I'm completely open to a discussion. But to me, that's scary, to be like, you said something that I don't agree with. And as long as you're not calling for violence, I don't understand. I don't like the idea of telling people that they can't have their job or they can't take care of their family or whatever the case may be, because that's never where it ends, There now, you could see,
but it's also it's the people they work for that are making these decisions when it comes down to it, and it's not really when the people say fire. I mean, they're calling to her bosses and the Disney to to make that decision. What happens if Disney didn't fire? Do they try to cancel Disney then?
So in these scenarios, it's really a lose-lose situation, because like in the case of Gina, where she was let go, and I think the trending hashtag the day she was fired was cancel Disney Plus. And from what I read, I think they lost something like 2 million subscribers or something like that.
Ooh.
And that's not a small number. 2 million is kind of hefty for a subscription service.
Now, does any CEO or board of directors at Disney give a shit? Do you think they do, or do they just see falling numbers like, well, we got to fire somebody? Because I don't think anybody's, if their minds were of that, we don't care about these topics. Did that change their mind? I don't think it would. It would just say, okay, we're taking a financial hit. Our product is not going to do so well. I don't think the message really comes across. The people that are looking to fire Gina Carano, we won, she's fired. But did you change anything? You just made it so like now she's either going to which it sounds like she's doing this documentary with Ben Shapiro now that's going to fuel her to go even harder against people's like these beliefs that they were getting the cancer about. So it didn't change her mind on shit. Now she's going harder on that. Or if she didn't do that, she could have succumbed and just stayed quiet and closed off Twitter, and just her mind hasn't changed on any of this stuff. You just basically stopped her tracks in that.
Right. I think Dave Chappelle said it the best, where he said you shouldn't try to cancel someone for their beliefs. You should try to educate them. You should try to explain to them like, hey, this is why what you're saying it's a little offensive, or it's wrong, or whatever the case may be. But when you cancel someone, you're almost everyone who's been canceled has essentially just reinforced whatever their beliefs were. Let me rephrase that. People who were canceled for their beliefs have just doubled down on whatever it is that they believe.
They believe in. Okay.
Yeah. And then it hushes people up, or it makes it a meme and a negative connotation for something that could be a great tool in shifting our culture into a better place that we want. Now, I'm guaranteeing a lot of these elite folks, they're sitting there, I better not say that, they're gonna come cancel me. But it's like you still want to say that. It's in your mind that your belief system. You're just feared that you're just gonna lose your job, which sure, that shuts everybody up. But you're not changing anybody's thoughts. Right.
You're making things difficult for them. But then in some cases, there's some people who have been in these situations and have come out on top.
Sure.
Like, I'm trying to think of a celebrity who was Sebastian Stan. He, for anyone who doesn't know, he's the Winter Soldier in all the Marvel movies.
The MCU universe.
Now he's in a weird situation, because these people are so I shouldn't say these people, but the people calling for him to get canceled are so psychotic. They're canceling him not for something he did, but because something his girlfriend did, and because he didn't correct her. His girlfriend said something that was a little offensive to Asian Americans, or to just Asians, period. And he didn't say anything like, hey, don't say that. That's not cool. He just kind of kept going, like they were having a conversation, and he kept going with it. The cancel Sebastian Stan hashtag started trending. And it's very difficult to quantify how he negatively was impacted from this, because this was before the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was announced on Disney Plus. This was before like he was in other movies. So he kind of wasn't impacted by this at all. It was just a bunch of people yelling into Twitter with. Yeah.
And then you're going to see the clickbait articles popping up everywhere. And, his name could get tarnished a little bit from this, or it could impact work down the line.
Yeah. It definitely could impact work later, where people are like, hey, like, I know there was a heavy rumor that he was going to play Luke Skywalker in a Luke Skywalker's Disney Plus series. I mean, if you look at Sebastian Stan, he looks just like a young Mark Hamill. It's actually kind of scary how much he looks like him.
Now that you mention that, I see it now.
Yeah, it's very scary, and I would love that. But who knows? Disney owns Marvel, so they're willing to work with him. And on the Marvel side, I don't see why they wouldn't on the Star Wars side. But
Right.
you never know. They very well
know.
could say, like, hey, hate crimes are on the rise against Asians, and they could very well be like, hey, dude, you need to apologize for that before we can do anything.
Apologize for his girlfriend, you mean?
Yeah. Again, it's people are psychotic. They don't have anything better to do. That's ultimately what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I think there's more to it than just that, but I think for some of these people, like the clout, like of, you know, either whatever feelings they have towards celebrities or people of stature, you know, anything they take, the smallest thing it could be to get a hashtag cancel insert celebrity here going. I started that. I'm doing something. I'm making change. And I mean, some of these are silly. And every time I see one of these come up, you know, I don't just blatantly say, oh, I'm jumping on, let's cancel this motherfucker. Right. I go look and I do some research and I see what the hell actually was said. What was the context of it? What article am I reading? And what are they taking? What are they not giving me in the information? Mm-hmm. A lot of people are not going to do that. They're going to see, okay, Sebastian Stan. I'm sure a lot of them headlines didn't mention a girlfriend at all. And but the spotlight was on him and a lot of the way they worded the shit. I don't know for sure because I don't really know the situation, but
yeah, it was, they very much worded it like it was his responsibility to stick up for Asians, and people were kind of, you know, they made up these stories in their own minds. That's another part of cancel culture where the truth kind of gets lost somewhere along the way, because the people want to sensationalize everything. They want to make the story out to be far worse than it is. You could probably find an article that was like, oh, Sebastian Stan said, you know, camp should be reopened or something. You know what I mean? It's like they sensationalize a story. You might want to edit that out, actually. I just thought about that. Holy shit.
Thinking on the fly.
Yeah. Well, I felt like for a second there I was just talking to the homies. You know, I forgot we were just that.
Keep it professional, Rick. Yeah. Get your N-words out now.
Oh my goodness. But that's speaking of when you brought up the top execs not caring, there is a top exec at Netflix who was fired, like this is like 2 years ago, where he was giving a meeting, right? Or he was having a meeting with his staff. And he said, essentially, you can't use the word that's used for little people. I'm not even going to say it because I don't want to fuck it. You know? Mm-hmm. But you can't use the word that you would use for little people, because calling a little person that word is like calling a black person the N-word. But what he did was, this idiot, what he did was he actually said the N-word. Oh. And so, that was stupid in and of itself. But people in that meeting complained and were like, hey, this dude's saying the N-word. And they kind of made it seem like he was just saying the N-word in the meeting. You know, they dropped all context from the conversation. They didn't say like, oh, he was. I mean,
unless it was recorded, nobody's going to know what the context was. If he said it and snickered, or if he said it in like a professional, like, I want to be very clear, this word or so, you know, but the way it would hard to know the exact details of the town, right?
So here's the thing, though. My biggest problem with cancel culture, by and large, is people are picking and choosing when to be offended. Because Joe Rogan he told this story to a guest on his show, and he also said the N-word in the explanation. He said it twice.
Yeah.
Nothing happened to Rogan. Now, people have been trying to cancel him for forever, but because he's a UFC commentator, and the Joe Rogan experience isn't like sponsored or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So they can't
Well, I
attack.
mean, they ran into when he made the Spotify deal. That seemed to become more prevalent, and people at Spotify were either quitting or saying they weren't going to work until episodes were going to get removed that contained people that they didn't care for.
Right. But then the president or CEO of Spotify essentially backed up Joe Rogan. And it's probably because there might have been something in the deal where Rogan said, hey, I'll take the whatever $1 million deal it was, but in the contract, I need it to be this money is guaranteed regardless of who I have on the show and regardless of what it said or whatever. And so I think Joe Rogan was okay, but this Netflix exec was fired like almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it wasn't like I think context needs to be important for every situation.
Yes.
Yeah. I need consistency. Like anyone listening to this, if you're upset about something, I get it. I'm not trying to invalidate your feelings or anything like that. But if you're gonna put one person's foot to the fire for saying something, I think you should have that same energy with
for everybody who does that shit.
Don't pick this person because he's a conservative or he's a Trump supporter or whatever. Have that same energy for everybody.
Yeah, I have a problem with that too. I mean, I hate gray areas and I hate unstructured things. And it seems like it's a bit of an unstructured mess. And it's just like, oh, we'll go after this guy for saying the same thing, but we're not going to go after this woman for that or whatever the case may be. I mean, there's so many untouchables out there. I mean, Eminem seems like an untouchable. Nothing he couldn't say. South Park, they seem like to be an untouchable. A lot of rappers, I mean, music artists, like they're saying all kinds of shit that, you know, some actor is saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't really compare apples to apples, but there is seems to be some sort of biasness or just I'm gonna look the other way on this. Tekashi 6ix9ine. I just watched that documentary, and this dude like had sex with or group sex, it seemed like, with an underage girl and went to jail and all that, and dude's still making millions. Like,
well, the Tekashi one is weird because if you saw the documentary, correct me if I'm wrong, but the little bit of info that I know about it, he didn't have sex with the girl, right? Wasn't it? He videotaped it or something like that. Like he videotaped
it was in a music video or something. Yeah, he was. I mean, he's certainly good time for it, so he got proven guilty of something.
Yeah, so maybe he did do it and just doesn't want to admit it. You know, like, hey, like you fucked up. But yeah, you're right. There are a ton of celebrities that still keep kicking, and they still, I shouldn't say keep kicking, but they're still in the spotlight. But I don't know. Like, I have an old boss where this person was horrible, right? And I just have something against trying to take something. You're gonna have to edit all this out because I know exactly what I'm trying to say, but like my mind is wandering at the same time.
No, but I get what you're saying. Like, should somebody lose their well-being due to something they said? And I think that is an important question to ask, because the problem that I see with cancel culture is there is no pathway to redemption or anything like that. So when you go through the justice system, you know, you're proven guilty through evidence, and there is a punishment associated with that, jail time or whatever. Mm-hmm. And through that, there should be either the punishment is enough, it's a duration based, and then depending on whatever, you know, you might have to go to rehab, or maybe there's classes or something you take. And I mean, I guess we're still working on rehabilitation means in criminal endeavors, but with cancel culture, there's no way to really come back aside from fake apologies, you know, or I mean, if they're genuine or not, but a lot of times they seem very like templated, but there's no way to really come like, can Gina Carano ever pull herself out of that hole she's dug for herself? I don't know. If she comes out with a huge apology and then conforms to beliefs that maybe she's not in belief of, I don't know. But there is no pathway to redemption once you've been canceled.
Well, like, so as far as Gina Carano goes, she's already made it very clear she's not apologizing. She was she was just on the Sunday special with Ben Shapiro, and she very much made it clear that she's not going to be bullied into whatever it is you believe. And she also made it clear that you interpreted her actions the wrong way, or at least you interpreted them incorrectly. Like that's not what her intent was. But she has no ill will against trans people. She has no ill will against anyone, Jewish people, anything like that. But just because you disagree with her on certain things doesn't mean you have the right to force her to believe differently.
Yeah.
And you can take things from her, but she just signed, she signed that movie deal with the Daily Wire, and she's going to write and produce it and star, I think, in that, whatever that comes to be. But she's going to be fine, but she did lose her talent agency.
She didn't have a Disney money. So I don't know if she's going to be fine.
Well, it's definitely.
It doesn't matter. I mean, like, this is somebody else. Like you said, you don't hold celebrities up to a pedestal. She made decisions based on the current state of how this world works. She decided to make those decisions and put her in a spot right now. So yes, the way things are right now, maybe there needs to be some change and adaptations and things like that. But in the current way things are, this is what happens. Especially in for more egregious cases where clearly, I don't know what the punishment is if it's only just you lose your job or future work. But right now, I think it's not that bad of a thing for people to be able to have a voice to make changes as we see fit. It certainly seems easier than any sort of legislation to make it through, where we have to put a person in charge in order to make the changes we hope will benefit us. Right. This is direct power from our voices, but there is problems with it, as we're kind of outlining. I mean, one of the silly ones, and I think was pretty bad, was the Noah Schnapp, I think is how you say his last name, the kid from Stranger Things.
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah.
They found a video of him on like a camp bus, and he was singing words from one of the Little Dicky songs, the one with Chris Brown. Mm-hmm. And when Chris Brown, says the N-word a bunch of times in it, he was singing that song and he replaced the N-word and he was saying neighbor instead in the lyrics as he was singing the lyrics, right?
Okay.
And so he got backlash when that movie or that video leaked out for replacing the N-word with the word neighbor as he was singing the words. And so he had to do this whole apology letter. I shouldn't have just replaced the word. I should have just not said it at all. And
Jesus Christ.
I mean, you imagine like this 13, 14-year-old kid getting millions of tweets. Like, I'm sure a good portion of those were not nice tweets. It's got to be super overwhelming and terrifying for something. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think that warrants that kind of attention.
Right.
I mean, if you know the song, like, you would have been quiet for about 30 years.
But that's kind of what I like. That's what I mean when I say like a lot of these people just don't have anything better to fucking do. You get mad at the girl. I don't know if you remember the girl who was on the Kendrick Lamar concert stage and she was rapping and she said the N-word from one of his songs, and he stopped the concert in the middle of the concert. Was like, hey, you can't say that. You can't say that. And I mean, you could definitely have a debate on whether or not she should say it, considering it is a lyric from the song, and you did invite her up there to sing the song. Mm-hmm. So you could definitely, I could see the side where it's like, hey, just don't say that one word. And I get that. I completely get that. But when you also go out of your way to then replace the word with a different word you're complaining to, bro, miss me with that shit. You sound fucking stupid. I'm just gonna say it. You sound stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say the word, but you also can't say another word. So instead of singing the song, just go blank for the song, for that word. Mm-hmm. Shut up. Just shut up.
And then any other white rap artist that says it is fine. It's fine, right?
Yeah. It makes no sense. First of all, that is a kid. I guarantee you, if you go through his Twitter feed for that, when that situation broke out, I guarantee you there's a ton of people in there that were wishing harm on him or
I'm sure they're like, go kill yourself, his
DMs are probably awful.
The most negative stuff you could say to anybody. I'm pretty
Right.
sure it was. Yeah.
For sure. But then
So
the
set the
thing
vote.
is-
13-year-old kid for like somebody that leaked a video of him on a camp bus,
right.
like singing Lil Dicky. Like
we should be applauding him for being wise enough to not say the word.
right.
We should be applauding him for being like, hey, you're 13 years old and you know to not say that. That's some good shit. Like that means you're one of the good ones. And then you get these people that fucking whine and complain all day about nothing. And then the thing that bothers me the most is when people try to cloak just straight evil behavior with tolerance. Like, oh, I'm doing the right thing. I'm sticking up for the person that can't stick up for themselves, which that in and of itself is offensive as fuck. Like I can defend myself. I don't need you to tell me what to be offended by.
Yeah,
I'm a black person. So with him saying neighbors, it's cool. Don't tell me what. I guarantee you, if you go to most black people and tell them that story, they'll probably like, who gives a shit? Like who cares? I'm being shot by police. I don't give a fuck about neighbors. I care about the police killing me. That's my problem.
Yeah, totally.
Get over that shit. That shit is not important. Worry about police reform, prison reform. That's the shit. Our people are starving out here. Nobody gives a fuck about a little kid saying neighbors.
Yep, exactly. And a lot of the cancel culture comes out. That was a good rant, by the way. I felt the power in your.
I mean, man, I have brothers and sisters out here, and don't even get me started on black women.
I mean, but you have to see the link where a lot of it does come from like you said, speaking up for people that may not have had voices for a while. Women, exactly. Black people. Every marginalized group of people, that may not have had voices before, people are starting to stick up for them, and it's chaos. It's messy. There's gonna be bad things that happen, but I mean, as much as like I can see things unfold and I see like just the hatred that can come out of it, but it's not like it's just all evil. It's a clash between good and evil. When you say like Stranger Things was one of the hottest shows in the past few years, all that entire cast has been getting targeted for cancel culture. These are kids. It talked about that when Millie Bobby Brown had two situations that were both on the opposite ends. One, there's a video of her. She was making a relationship name out of two of the cast members. Mm-hmm. So like if I was to say, oh, Rick and Big RC, you guys are gonna get together and we're gonna call you Big Rick or Bick, that kind of shit.
Now why'd you use us? Like, there were no other names rattle around in your head. You had to use
terrible, just terrible.
Go ahead, keep going. Go ahead.
As an example to set up, so she did that with two cast members, and it ended up with the name it turned out to be a derogatory term for lesbians, and so she said it and giggled and. Boom! Let's cancel Millie Bobby Brown out of that. Millie Bobby Brown, right? Yeah,
great fucking name.
Was Bobby Brown ever canceled?
Oh no! See, he's just an addict. I don't think he was ever like he's just an addict.
Wasn't he a woman beater too?
I don't think so. I could be wrong. Now, if he was,
he was accused.
Okay.
Oh,
like it's one of those allegedly type of situations,
right? Hey, real quick, before you keep going, when I said don't get me started on black women, I wasn't going to say anything bad about black women. Let me.
You had to correct yourself.
Yes, because I can hear Tasha, my Aunt Tony, like, what the fuck are you about to say? Mm-hmm. No, I was about to say black women are the most mistreated, and black women should be loved and adored. That's what I was going to say. Okay, I
must have zoned out. When did you say? Let me tell you about black women.
It was right before you started.
Oh, did I pre-edit that in my head?
Hey, don't edit out this explanation.
Headlines tomorrow. Cancel Phantom _GH. Let me tell you about black women.
Oh, man.
Well, what were you saying?
So, but also on the flip side with Millie Bobby Brown, Now that I'm saying it a lot, it is funny.
Mhm.
So she had that. It was, I mean, again, she's a 13-year-old girl, whatever. And then on the other side, a meme. There was also a separate instance where a meme. I think this is more recent. This one where people are making fake accusations against her, where they'll say like, "Yeah, I saw Millie Bobby Brown in the airport, and she said something. I hate black people or whatever."
Holy
And
shit.
so they make these tweets, and then they do it for basically everything bad that you could say about another like culture or race, and it's a meme. Everybody's doing it for fun now.
Mhm.
To the point, she canceled her Twitter because there was so much of this shit going on where people are like, "Yeah, I met Millie Bobby Brown at the restaurant, and she spat in my food and slapped me in the face." Like, this is a 13 to 15-year-old girl that's reading all this shit on Twitter because people think it's funny. And and then on the opposite end, they're also attacking her for the other shit that she said. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Kids.
Yeah. Children that,
Mhm.
that aren't doing anything to anybody. And as far as like fake accusations, there was one with Justin Bieber, I think, like a year or two ago. And it was literally a Twitter account that had an egg for a profile picture that was like, Justin Bieber sexually assaulted me at this hotel, and gave this whole long drawn out thing, this whole, drawn out explanation.
Yeah.
And Justin Bieber was like, well, hold on, that's impossible because I was out of the country that day. So I'm not trying to say anything against real victims or even, the victims who, are in any way hurt by anybody else. But when you are out there spreading these false stories to get clout or to get whatever it is you're trying to get, you're hurting real victims.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. These people
Yes.
are vile that
Yeah.
are making up fake stories. And yes, it absolutely takes away from those who are really victims of various situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I remember this is gonna, reignite my own cancel, I guess. But so when Me Too first started, I remember there were a ton of my Facebook friends that were using hashtag Me Too, and I had no idea what it was. So I dug in a little bit, I found out what it was, and it, my first thought was, I'm so happy that these people are coming forward with their stories and they're saying, that they were victims, that, hey, I'm also a victim. But on the flip side, me being the father of two girls, and I hope I'm not, pissing anybody off or anything like this. But what I would have liked to see happen was hashtag Me Too, and then the name of the dirtbag that assaulted you or that did whatever to you.
Mhm.
People who do horrific things to women or to anyone in general, they don't deserve a peace of mind. Like, if you're a victim and if you know who did something to you,
Okay.
name them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just go to the police, or even if the police won't do anything, put it out there. Let everyone know, anyone who will listen, or just put it out there like, hey, this person's a dirtbag and you should not trust them.
That's what they are
And
doing with cancel culture. They are putting the name out. I mean,
well, no, but I'm saying specifically, like all my Facebook people that did the Me Too, they didn't put any names. There were,
you're right.
I did not see a single person name the person that was the cause of that hashtag.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to diminish anyone's feelings. I'm not trying to say toughen up or anything like that. That's not what this is. But what I'm teaching my two daughters is, if you feel that someone's doing anything to you that you don't like or you don't agree with or you just don't want it to happen or anything like that, you need to shout it as high as you can to anybody who's willing to listen. Like, hey,
Right.
this person is awful, because you also don't want another potential mishap. You don't want someone else to be hurt. And it's really tricky because you have to be careful with saying something like this, because you're almost, people I've heard say, when you say shit like this, you're victim blaming or that. Like, that's not what the or victim shaming or whatever. That's not what this is. What I'm saying is, let's not protect the assholes. It feels like we're protecting them if we don't name them, or if we don't say like, hey, this person did this.
Yeah, but there's also, I mean, everybody's situation is different, but I can imagine that some of those, either they're afraid of the spotlight or afraid of backlash from the predator, or what's the opposite? What's the term opposite of victim? Who's the causer?
Perpetrator or offender.
Offender, yeah. Maybe they're fearful of the offender doing something more harm. So I think the Me Too movement, and this is part of a larger discussion, but I think, part of that was solidarity, and that Me Too, this happened to me as well. Here's my story. Feels good to get that off my chest. And then there's a second side to that where there's real justice that can be taken. So I do understand why you wouldn't just call out the people's name. And I also understand the reason why it's helpful if they were to be called out, because then action could further be taken and people will, be punished for the bad shit that they did.
Right.
But I do understand why some people would be afraid to
speak up or admit who they are referring to.
Yeah, I mean, whether they're embarrassed, they're scared.
Scared, yeah.
Right.
Fear of their lives because of how powerful this person is, or whatever else that could be involved.
Right. And I understand that, but I think my thing was always, I wish it wasn't like that. I wish we lived in a society where people
don't happen.
Well, that too. I wish bad things would happen, but I wish we lived in a society where people who are victims should be believed until they shouldn't be. You know what I mean? Like, if someone makes an accusation, the accusation should be investigated. Like there are so many female friends that I know personally who have stories of physical or sexual abuse, and they have actually told people, and they've lost close friends because they're friends with the offender, or
and that adds into the reason why a lot of women weren't calling out the people because of that exact outcome.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I understand that, but I know it's wishful thinking, but I wish that wasn't the case.
Right.
I mean, really wish
a lot of the instances, it comes down to he said, she said, my story versus their story. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we have, it's the people that put out fake stories to create doubt in real stories and real tragedies is what, those are the motherfuckers that they need to just stop that shit. Like, it's terrible.
So are either of you familiar with the Mattress Girl?
No.
The Mattress Girl?
Yeah, there was a young lady who she accused someone of sexual assault, or no, I think she just flat out rape. I think she accused him of rape. And so what she did to get the word out there that this person had raped her was she actually carried the mattress around with her everywhere she went throughout the university.
Oh, wow.
That she was allegedly sexually assaulted on. And so it was the big news for a while, but the guy was able to prove through text message logs that the encounter was consensual, at least what he believed to be consensual. And a lot of it was initiated by her. The gray area of this situation, though, is that she possibly regretted it later. Mm-hmm. So in her mind, and this is why it's such a gray area. In her mind, she may have been okay with it at first, but then she changed her mind. For all we know, she literally could have been for it the entire time. And then the second he walked through the door, she may have changed her mind, and he could have very well been like, no, fuck that. I'm doing this. I didn't come all the way out here for nothing. You know? And that does happen. How many times have we heard where a female or a woman is excited and ready to go, and then she changes her mind just randomly, and the guy's like, well, fuck that. I'm taking it now. And so I'm bringing that up to say that she is an example of, she had all the evidence proves that she wanted the encounter, but because of what the actual encounter, when it actually happened, if she changed her mind, there's all this mountain of evidence that says otherwise. So
it's hard to know. I mean, it's hard to comment on it without really knowing the details firsthand and seeing the text messages or whatever that supposedly proves that it was consensual. I mean, unless it was literally moments before and he said, "Do you want to have sex?" and she said yes, I guarantee the texts aren't that direct. It's probably things that can be taken in an opinion. It's hard. That's why it's hard for me to comment on.
Right.
On
but
that.
No,
like you said, the gray area.
Right. But in this particular scenario, no, that there was no gray area about the text. The texts were very direct.
Yeah.
they were very direct. The you can tell the intention was to hook up. She's very specifically asked if he had condoms or that kind of stuff.
I can't wait for you to get here to just suck your dick.
Right. But again, that's why that's why you see people like Oprah saying her truth, or because there is a scenario where someone is made out to be I guess I'm saying all this to say that there is a situation where someone can possibly not be believed, but then it is the truth. She was raped. She was sexually assaulted, because she may have said everything up to that point, agreeing it, but the second she says no, and if you feel that it's not, like if you feel like, well, I got all the way out here, you're going to do it. And then at that point she does it just to not be hurt or whatever the case may be. It's that's scary, man. It's very scary as a father, because I know my temper is like, I will, anyone listening to this right now, tell your sons to stay away from my daughters.
Like, don't worry, all he's got is a Halo shotgun. It's not even.
Oh man, I'll put it this way.
Sit down next to me, boy. Let's do a 1v1,
dude. I'm telling you, the rage that is in me when I think about the sack of shit that hurts either of my girls. Like, you all have seen all the Saw movies, right?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
That shit is Barney's playtime compared to what I'll do to the dirtbag. Dude, I'm not fucking around, dude.
Yeah.
Like you've heard the fifth graders episode of how many fifth graders could we take out?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking biblical shit, peeling off fingernails and bro,
Okay. Let me stop you there for a second.
Fire and brimstones.
Oh, dude, I'm talking end of the world type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I'm about to be dead.
But it should be comforting, at least as a father, that, there is, I mean, essentially there is a place, social media, that can be used to shine light on situations that can happen personally. And then, I mean, we're kind of more focused on, more speech and opinion based culture or cancel culture. But, I mean, there's a place that your daughters can go to voice their opinions on things towards a single target, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the good things of social media, is that it allows people to have a voice that otherwise may not have had that opportunity. But I don't know, man. It's a scary world out here. People fucking suck. And what can you do?
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is such a new thing. I mean, I call it a phenomenon because it came out of nowhere, and it's a really powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope to see it evolve into something that we can really place a lot of faith in. I mean, the people are going to speak.
Marley is like, bro.
When we say, like, I'm trying to see how I can phrase this. If you do something, you've mentioned this a lot of times in the past, Rick, where, freedom of speech is not freedom without consequence. And that's what's happening here. The freedom of speech isn't being targeted. The people are just saying, we don't want this. We don't want this kind of stuff. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but there is no real explicit punishment outlined. Are you banned off of Twitter and work for 2 years? Is that your jail time for doing some dumb shit on social media? Or what? that's where I see the problem happening. Like you said, do people deserve to have their well-being taken away from misspeaking or posting something ignorantly or posting something of their beliefs that is kind of villainous or vile? Do they deserve their well-being taken away? Right now, that is the current punishment. Now, should that be the punishment for everybody? I don't think so. But there's no way to really do that. And there's no also redemption path, like I mentioned earlier, to get them back. Now, the kid that said neighbor,
Mhm.
he's still worried. He didn't get technically canceled, but the kid from Stranger Things, he didn't get canceled, but there was a moment there he had to deal with that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many scenarios where people are quote unquote canceled that, you know, either didn't deserve it or did deserve it. I'm pretty sure people listening to this realize that there's one particular person that was quote unquote canceled that we have been deliberately avoiding because it's such a hot button topic. But there are people who deserve it in the sense of, like, you said something awful, you just apologize, you know, just say you're sorry and all that and move on.
But is that enough?
Exactly.
I don't enough. I don't know.
I don't think so, because there are scenarios where people have apologized and people just neglect the apology, or there are scenarios where, you know, people don't apologize and nothing happens. There are people who say they're sorry, nothing happens, but then when they try to evolve their career or whatever, when they try to go to the next level of their career, Kevin Hart, he tries to go to the next level of his career with hosting the Oscars, and the same thing that he apologized for years ago resurfaces, and it's like, okay, what do you want from me? Like, I've already apologized once. At this point, it seems like you're just foaming at the mouth because you want me to always remember that you have some sort of control over me. You want it to be known that you're going to apologize to me or to the people you may have hurt by your words. And is that ever going to be enough?
Is the table so the power of the people have now taken the elite standing over these people, the roles are reversed, and I think that's something that Gina Carano was trying to get her point across, and she did it very poorly in the fact that she was being attacked by a group of people en masse, and she didn't care for that. She felt she was being a victim of, you know, mass mob mentality. Her responses and stuff were not the smartest, I don't think. But I get some of these celebrities feel like they're, you know, freedom of speech is being targeted, especially comedians. I mean, comedians, you know, they're not supposed to have boundaries. You know, it's humor. You know, they might put up boundaries around their self for what type of material they want to do, but comedy was largely untouched. But now we're seeing comedians being touched, mostly their personal lives, which is completely separate from their career. But I don't know if I'm really seeing. I mean, what was the God damn it, what's that guy's name that did the voice for the parrot in Aladdin?
Gilbert Godfrey.
I think he got into a bunch of shit because he made a 9/11 joke pretty soon after 9/11 happened, and that's when the like too soon shit started really coming up. Like too soon.
Okay.
For the most part, material seems to be untouchable in certain situations, unless you're being topical. I'm pretty sure there's been a lot of comedians whose tweets have been not taken so well because they're just trying to be funny. I mean, our group of people, us three and our IRO friends, a lot of us are not really sensitive to each other, so we make a lot of jokes towards each other and we don't really get upset. So I can see it's harder for us to maybe see what being offended is in that sort of sense, I guess. I mean, we know we're friends, so I guess that's harder. Any outsider says some shit to you, Big RC, that I say to you, you'd be offended by that.
Yeah, I wouldn't take this shit too kindly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think people, like, I wish things were easier for people to kind of get their point across, you know, like what I mean by that is, like, I get to an extent, I get why people are outraged for certain things. You know, when someone says the N-word or when someone wears an offensive costume, you know, or whatever the case may be. I'm different as a person because there is quite literally nothing that offends me. Anyone who knows me knows that, you know, if you really know me, you know that I make fun of black people sometimes, but I love black people. I love my people. And I am very much proud to be black. I would not want to be anything else except maybe, you know, like Mexican or something like that. You know, Mexicans are fucking awesome. Like, I'm just going to say it. Okay. but I make jokes and all
Rick's
that.
Rick's got an upgraded +7 shovel for the amount he digs himself into holes.
No, but I like, for me, it's different. I don't get offended by really anything, but I don't want to discount someone else's feelings either. Right. So when I say stuff like, "Oh, that's just people who have nothing better to do," in some situations, like with the neighbors thing, yeah, grow up. But like when it comes to, you know, something that's deeply rooted with offensive behavior, that is probably up for a debate.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, I'll be curious to get your guys' takes on historical things like canceling Christopher Columbus, taking down monuments and statues and not celebrating the day and, you know, things like that. You have a group of people who say, that's our history, that's what we were built on. But then you have people, well, like, looking back, that shit wasn't cool what he did. Like, we shouldn't be honoring this man.
Yeah, at the same time, yeah. I don't know. I do not know if things are ever going to be balanced when it comes to this whole cancel culture thing. I think, like what Rick said, man, I think they're going to nitpick on certain things. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's ever going to be... what's what I'm looking for? Like, I guess balance again. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be fair across the board when it comes to certain things, which I hope it does. But man, like, don't abuse it when it comes to certain people or certain things.
Yeah. But I think that's our nature as a society because, I mean, every time you look up, we're abusing words. Fascism or Nazi or something like that. You see people, any conservative now can be considered a Nazi, and they don't espouse the same values as Nazis. It's just like, hey, they believe something that the other side doesn't believe in. But as a species, our favorite thing to always do is to just make everything the most extreme version possible. Like, it blew my mind. I won't say exactly, I won't give any examples, just because, you know, people are fucking sensitive, but like, there are some things where I heard, I'm like, you clearly don't know what that word means because that's not the right context at all. That words have definitions. You can't just morph them to fit your ideology.
Yeah.
You know, that's not how words work. So I don't think it'll ever change. I don't think it's ever going to get better because, I mean, I'm old enough to remember when George W. Bush was Hitler for 8 years. And then now all of a sudden people love him whenever he gets around Michelle Obama, you know, like I'm curious if it'll be the same with Trump. I don't think so. I think people really hated Trump. So I don't know if that's going to get better, but as people, we're tribal, and I think it's always going to be just a constant war, some sort of culture war.
It will be, and I think it has its place in culture to allow us, the people living today, the here right now, to drive where our culture goes as people. And this is a form of driving the culture train into a direction that we all, in the moment, feel we should be going. So you might not agree with an individual getting their well-being taken out from their hands due to something they said. And like I said, the punishment is something that still needs to be discussed and outlined a little bit better, but we're driving this culture train. We don't want people saying racist shit online, so we're gonna push that. You can't say racist shit online. Like, there's consequences for that. If you want to say racist shit, you're not gonna be in the spotlight for us as the people,
right? I also don't like the idea that celebrities are supposed to represent whatever they're attached to. Like, I remember RC when when I first asked you your opinion on the Gina Carano thing, and your first kind of reaction was, I'm not going to read the actual message, but
putting them on blast.
No. But his response wasn't bad or anything. It was just, he was like, she has a right to her opinion, but it was also dumb to make that opinion knowing you represent.
She represents a fucking conglomerate.
Right. And I said, I don't know if I agree with that idea that she should be careful with her words, but I also don't agree that I don't think anyone should, at least celebrities, I don't think they should always constantly represent whatever they're attached to, because then literally everything you do. I mean, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, everyone who's wearing a shirt that is made in China means you represent the internment camps that they're currently using right now.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, that goes into the gray area of things,
Yeah. Like, people were up in arms about Gina Carano, but completely silent when Mulan literally filmed Mulan right next to an internment camp in China. Where does it end? And I need you to keep that same. Like, why don't you care about people over there like that?
Have either of you watched The Good Place?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
TV show with Kristen Bell.
That doctor, right?
No.
Oh, I'm thinking something else, so I probably haven't seen it then.
She's basically, she dies, and there's a point system basically in order to get into the good place, aka heaven. And spoiler alerts. The interesting part is they find out that basically in like 600 years, no human has gone to the good place. They automatically go to the bad place because their points, they didn't have enough points. And what they determine is that life became too complicated to earn enough good points to go to the good place. And they showcased this dude who was basically like not living any sort of fruitful life because he was too concerned about earning as many points as he can. And the point I'm trying to make is that, like, you go to a store, can you live your life to the way, like, oh, I can't eat these tomatoes because these tomatoes are gardened from this place in Brazil that supports slave trade or has such and such, or I can't buy this paper because it comes from the trees of deforestation in Bolivia, or whatever. Like, everything is so complicated right now to the point where almost anything you can 7 layers of bacon back to anything bad and negative. You could literally go out and cancel anything you wanted right now.
Right.
If you really tried.
Right. Like, and that kind of goes back to everybody has some sort of skeleton in their closet. Everybody, even the people that are foaming at the mouth for canceling whoever they want to cancel. I guarantee you those people have some foul shit that they don't want someone to know. Right. Because then it's almost like one of the things that I've noticed, and I'm always curious about, are the people who are the loudest with canceling someone. I'm always curious about that person, because in almost every scenario where I've seen people who are the loudest always have some dirty shit attached to them. I'm talking like some hardcore stuff attached to them. And just don't throw stones, people. Nobody's better than anybody. If you have a problem with someone with what they said, teach them why it's wrong. You can't silence free speech. People are going to talk, right? They're going to say whatever they want. The way you combat that. Exactly. I'm completely fine with people saying whatever they want, even if it's the most racist shit in the world. I want to know who the racists are, because then I know who to stay away from.
Yeah, and I think that's a negative byproduct of cancel culture, is that either A, people are going to continue saying their shit and they're going to get called out for it, and people in camp B are going to see that people are getting, and just not say shit, and then they're going to live their life a racist piece of shit, and they're not going to have any sort of dialogue or conversation to change their mind on that vile belief system. So when you're either going to hush people up, and then you're not, like you said, you want to know who the racists are. I would rather know that this actor is a racist shit and whatever. And then instead of them just being quiet and shutting up out of fear of losing their job. Yeah.
Plus, you know what? There's one of the biggest things about racist people that I've seen is a good portion of them are racist towards whatever minority, and they don't necessarily know why, because a lot of times it's taught to them. Like, no one's inherently racist. You don't grow
That's
up.
true.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not born racist. It's someone that taught you. Just
That's from the home.
Right, it comes from the home, exactly.
Mm-hmm. This always happens I think around this time too.
Yeah.
So I'll just start.
Yeah, probably got to wrap this up anyway, man.
Yeah, for sure. But there was this show on Hulu where this guy was like I don't know exact. He might have been Mexican, maybe, but he's a minority basically.
Okay.
And he was interviewing a guy who wanted to like revitalize the Nazi party. Like he considers himself an active Nazi or an actual Nazi. And I gotta say, man, it was something about the way that guy was talking and the way he was carrying himself where I was like, this doesn't seem like a bad guy. He just seems like he's lost. He doesn't know why he hates these things. And he actually said on the show, he's like, I don't hate anybody. I just think white people are superior. He's
right.
Like, I don't hate black people. I don't hate minorities. I just think white people are the superior race, and he seemed, this is going to sound awful, but he genuinely seemed like a nice guy, just with awful view. He seemed like a guy who actually would give the shirt off his back for someone.
Yeah.
Do any of you know who Daryl Davis?
Odd to hear that.
Yeah. Do you know who Daryl Davis is?
Not by the name, no.
Yeah.
It's a black gentleman who has he has convinced like over 200 to 300 KKK members to leave the group.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
He thought the same thing where he's like, I see these people for who they are. They're not awful people. It's their views that are awful.
Mm-hmm.
It's the shit that they were raised on that's awful. You can convince them to not be awful, but you do that by compassion, with respect, with
there's a whole tool set you could use. Various things to. I mean, yeah.
Like, it doesn't work for everybody, but I think that's the first step. You show them like, hey, your beliefs, it doesn't make sense why you hate these people or why you think you're better. This is why, and show them why. And then if they continue like, hey, no, F you, and they call you all kinds of stuff, then it's like, all right, you stay in your little hate bubble. I'm going to go over here and live my life happy, and you can hate all you want, and that's
that is what is happening with cancel culture, though, is we're driving the train of progressive culture, and the people that are getting called out are being left in their hate bubble without any sort of education to what they did was wrong and why it's not part of a society that the collective group sees going forward.
Mm-hmm.
That should be the last straw. Like, here, we want to give you the opportunity to be on this train with us as we move forward. And here are the reasons why the things you said are offensive, or here are the reasons why, like, that's just not cool anymore. And then after that whole education system that goes through, if they're still there, then yes, you are going to get left in your hate bubble behind on your own island over there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to be doing.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
So the takeaway is, first, look into these stories. Don't just blindly jump on the bandwagon.
Right.
Because there are false flags out there. There's things that are very minor in the grand scheme of things that don't need all of that stuff. And then there's also real issues that need to be handled. And I'm glad that the people have still some power in their hands to make some change. But also, like, we need to also do our part and, educate folks that are not up to date on the way things are.
Yeah. Update people and educate people.
I can only be as woke as the things I see and hear, like, right. I can't be ultra woke and know every fucking thing. I guarantee I'm going to, myself personally, I'm going to slip up somewhere, be ignorant in some place. I don't want to be scared to speak up and say something. So the argument is like, well, if you're afraid to say something, that means you have something that you're going to say that is bad. Well, no, there's so many things. There's a giant world out there of different beliefs and religions, races, cultures. And it's like if I were to go to another country and if they're offended by, a certain icon on a necklace that I'm wearing, like I wouldn't know that, and like don't murder me because of that. Tell me why that's not cool over here in this unknown country.
Right. Yes.
Mm-hmm. That you know what? I have a funny story about that, and I don't know. I'm gonna share it because it's funny. But I how can I say this without coming off? Long story short, when I was helping someone move from out of state into Chicago, and they had this basket, and I'm lifting up this basket, and I put it down on the table, and I kept going on, and then I looked back from halfway across the room. I'm like, holy shit, that's a swastika. Why is there a swastika on that basket? And everyone looked at me like, what? I'm like, dog, that is a blatant swastika on this wicker basket. Like, is there something you need to tell us? And the reason why I'm tiptoeing around who it is, because it's someone very important.
I was about to say, do you want to tell the real story?
No, it's. I'm the only thing I'm leaving out is who the people are. That's the only thing I'm leaving.
Right.
but I'm looking.
If you want to know, I urge you to send Rick a direct message to find out, because the results will shock you. Yes.
Send me a direct message if you really want to know who I'm referring to, because it's hilarious to me.
It's pretty good.
I'm staring at them like, yo, that's a swastika, my guy. Like, I know what a swastika looks like. Okay, like, and they were like, no, we don't see it. I'm like, you're gonna sit there and lie to my face like you don't see that symbol?
I wish you took a picture of it so I could see.
Take a picture of it. I still have it.
Oh, then yeah, take a picture. I want to see, because it's important to know if it is Nazi memorabilia from this person, or if it's the what is that from like Buddhist, I think, iconography.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. I know what you mean. So, but that's okay. So that's the reason why I'm bringing that up, is because that symbol, that's not where that symbol originated from.
Yeah.
The Nazis took the symbol from was it South America or Africa or something?
Yeah, I can't remember really. But
yeah. You go to some little town in South America or Africa or something like that, and there's literally swastikas everywhere. Mm-hmm. And to them, that symbol means something completely different. It's not a hate speech symbol.
Right.
It means something completely different. Same thing with the OK symbol now. Like the OK symbol up until 2 years ago was, a gotcha game, or it meant okay. Now people are saying, no, that actually means white power all of a sudden.
Yeah, I didn't know that shit. Nerder, she wrote. Thanks for the call out on that.
But like that,
Nerder, she wrote, joined the Gamers Haven Discord. The first day I posted a selfie of myself doing the OK symbol because I thought I looked cool, and her first comment in the server was like, "Are you expressing white power in that picture?" Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I had to look it up. I'm like, God damn it!
Yeah.
White people, I can't use the fucking OK sign now.
Yeah, it sucks, dude. It's one of those things where the most hateful people could do anything with any symbol, and then all of a sudden they've co-opted it.
Well, it's also like saying like Hitler ruined the Hitler stash, the Groucho.
Oh man, there was some guy on the Joe Rogan Experience like a month ago, and I'm like, bro, he literally white guy with the short haircut with the little stash. Bro, are you intentionally trying to look like him? Like,
oh, you already know, yeah.
Like, bro,
that's making a statement.
Yeah. You cannot wear that mustache without that symbol or without.
Yeah, but see,
guy.
These things like that. I mean, you see how that evolved out of our culture. We that got evolved out through actions and events that took place over history, and that's basically what is going on with cancel culture right now. We're saying it's not okay to use these words, these language, where we want that to not be a part of our culture. You think back, I'm watching sitcoms from 10 years ago, like 2.5 Men, where and this was in a lot of these older shows that I'm rewatching on Peacock, and where they would make the gay joke, like, "Oh, you're gay, haha, you're gay," and I mean, a lot of people were saying that shit 10 years ago, back when we were growing up. That's how you roasted somebody. Oh, you gay, whatever. And watching back the TV show, it's like, it was kind of cringy to see, because I've been so adapted now through the evolution of culture and how we've disowned that word as a roast term. It felt weird to watch this archaic writing where that was something that was okay to be said back then. Yeah. And as we go year after year and our culture develops and evolves and changes, I mean, that's where this cancel culture is. We're canceling this stuff out of our culture. We're canceling these words out of our culture, which is okay. I mean, yeah, we talked about what are the repercussions, where's the redemption path. There's still a lot of work there, but this is something that has been going on for a long time. Just now there is a platform for it, Twitter, where it's all zoned in one place. But I mean, culture has been developing throughout the years. Like you said, we can't, there's no Hitler mustaches that are in commonplace, Right, yeah. The swastika isn't something that is seen as a positive icon. It is that way because we have canceled that out of our culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Yeah. We about ready to wrap up?
Yep.
Okay.
So, I mean, basically with that, I mean, there's so much that can be discussed, and there's going to be cases that come up that's going to challenge each other to discuss, should this person be canceled? What do they say? Was it that awful? I mean, there's so many on the list that we named even there, and there's many more, and we could go and we could debate, and I think we should. We should talk about our own beliefs towards the canceling that has happened, especially, I mean, with celebrities, the things they say. I mean, I read what Gina Carano said. I think I could debate for and against the words she said. Mm-hmm. I think it's okay to have those conversations about that rather than just say blatantly, boom, get out of here. We don't want you. We should talk about these things a little more. Right. That's the answer to always everything. Just communicate.
Exactly. Just have a conversation. That's all. Explain why you feel the way you do about what she said and vice versa, and just have a conversation. But instead, it always goes to, no, I don't like that, so therefore you shouldn't have that job. And you shouldn't be allowed to do whatever you're doing.
And if anybody disagrees with me, then you're out of my life too.
Exactly.
And you should be canceled.
Yeah, but people just, I don't know, man. It's a sticky situation all around, but
we shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. And I'm glad we were able to talk about it on this episode. Yep. There's, I think, a lot more discussions to be had that can break away from that. I'm more than willing to come back around and dive further, especially into Me Too movement, cancel culture. I would love to talk about The Simpsons and how that could effectively change how voice acting works for video games and cartoons and things like that. I think that's an interesting area to explore, and our viewpoints on how that's going to change or has been changing. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in to another topic of ours on the Haven Exchange.
Yes.
I am your host here, Genesis. If you don't know me, go ahead and drop me some follows out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Genesis_GHN. Catch me on Twitch, streaming there. We're playing more games. We're having fun. We're hanging out with the community. Twitch.tv/Genesis_GH. Let's go! Twitch's 48th most entertaining streamer, subtle flex. Major flex, actually. We ain't being subtle about that shit. Big RC, you were a little bit quiet this episode, but where can people come catch you to talk to you more?
Yeah, I apologize about that. Didn't know too much about the cancel culture, except for like the Gina Carano and other big ones. So I wanted to sit back and learn from these two of their opinions and what was going on. But I promise next episode I'll be more vocal. But as always, you can catch me on Twitch at BigRC_GH, and also catch me on the social medias at YouTube Instagram, and Twitter at BigRC56.
Awesome. All right. And we also got Mr. Rick over there. What's going on in your world, man? Where can people find you?
Well, the biggest thing, right? The biggest two spots are definitely Twitch. You can catch me on twitch.tv/phantom_GH. Gonna continue my Metal Gear Solid series playthrough. Probably gonna do that in the next couple days. So definitely check me out there. You can also follow me on Twitter, where I am talking all kinds of shit.
And canceling any naysayers of Kojima.
Yeah. Don't come onto my Twitter line talking crazy about Kojima, okay? Base Kojima. Always base Kojima.
Base Kojima.
Yeah, base Kojima. Speaking of which, he has a book coming out, so make sure you pre-order that. But Kojima, if you're listening, I can be your publicist, or not, I can be your assistant. I can be your water boy, whatever.
Why would he hire you? You're already doing those jobs for free.
Well, that's not true. I mean, that is true. But give me a job.
Fuck you, pay me.
Please give me a job. I will do whatever you want. But yeah, you definitely on Twitter at Phantom_GHN. Those are the big two right now.
Hell yeah. Yeah, be sure to tune in next week for another episode where we talk about a brand new topic. We'll let you know ahead of time. You can get a sneak peek on Patreon. Become a Patreon member today to get insight access into voting on what our next topic might be that we record, or just getting a sneak preview at early access to the episodes and what the topic is going to be. So head on over to patreon.com/Haven Exchange. Become a member today and support the show just like our wonderful patrons that we have going right now. Nerder She Wrote and Tashamonetsims with their gold and silver tier supportiveness. We love you. Thank you so much for the continued support.
Thank you.
Yeah, as always, thank you.
Shout out to the Gamers Haven Network, which our show is brought to you by a brilliant community run by us here. And we are a community of streamers, content creators, and overall awesome people featuring shout outs, daily shout outs and promotions, weekly giveaways, monthly events, all kinds of awesomeness. Dive in there to continue the conversation about this week's episode and talk about future episodes and past episodes. All the good stuff there. Do it there in the Gamers Haven. You'll find the links right where this is posted. So with that, thank you all so much. Let us know what you thought about this episode, and we will catch you next week. Peace out.
Take care.
Love one another, except Rick.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Haven Exchange.